very well written apology. When you make a commitment to a client, a colleague, or your family, trust is not a feeling, it's not a vibe, it's not something you inspire with a great speech or a pin. Today, we're going into the trust economy. And by the time we're done, you're going to see your own leadership in a completely different light. Let's get into it. Okay, so before we talk strategy, we need to get clear on what trust actually is, because most people only have half the definition. If you ask the average person to define trust, they say honesty. And they're not wrong, but reducing trust to honesty is like saying a symphony is just the first violin. It matters, sure, but there's a whole orchestra behind it. Stephen Covey understood that you can be the most honest, well meaning leader in the room and still lose trust if you can't deliver results. When trust goes up, speed goes up and cost goes down. When trust goes down, speed goes down and cost go up. Simple math. Your surgeon walks in, looks you in the eye, and says, I want you to know that I am a deeply honest person. Wonderful. But is this their first surgery? Because honesty is not going to keep your spleen where it belongs. Warren Buffett, one of the most trusted names in the history of business, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. Reputation is built one dependable action at a time, not one grand gesture, 10,000 small ones. If trust is a building, it stands on three pillars. Remove any one of them and the structure collapses. Pillar one is reliability. Pillar two, integrity. And you said you would do it. Not sometimes, not when it's convenient, but every time. James Clear would call reliability the compound interest of leadership, that small, consistent actions produce extraordinary results over time. It applies to trust. Every deadline you meet is a deposit. Every promise you keep is a deposit. Just like compound interest, those deposits don't just add, they multiply. John Maxwell says leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. But influence is built on consistency. People don't follow leaders who occasionally show up. They follow the ones who show up every time, especially when it's inconvenient. When every rational calculation said surrender, Churchill showed up every day. His reliability wasn't glamorous. It was the unglamorous, dogged consistency of a man who simply would not leave his post. And that reliability became the bedrock of an entire nation's trust. Integrity is the pillar of alignment. It asks, does what you say match what you do? This is where honesty lives. But it's bigger than honesty alone. Integrity means your actions, your words, and your values are singing the same song. Brene Brown defines integrity as choosing courage over comfort, choosing what is right over what is fun, practicing your values rather than simply professing them. It's easy to put your values on a website. It's hard to live them when no one is watching you and when living them costs you something. That is what builds trust. Zig Ziglar said the most important persuasion tool in your entire arsenal is integrity. It's not eloquence, not data, not a killer slide deck, integrity. Because people have finely tuned detectors for incongruence. They may not be able to articulate what feels off, but they know it. And once that rebuilding trust becomes exponentially harder, competence, can you actually do the job? This is a pillar people sometimes forget, maybe because it feels less inspiring than integrity or reliability. But without competence, the other two pillars are well intentioned decorations on a building that can't support its own weight. Covey made a distinction between character and trust. A leader can have impeccable character and still lose the trust of the team if they lack the skills to lead effectively. It's the difference between a pilot who is a wonderful human being and a pilot who can land the plane. You want the one who can land the plane every time. Trust is not something you earn once by being a good person. It is something you earn continuously by being a good person who gets results. Character opens the account. Competence grows the balance. Reliability ensures it stays open. Now let's talk about Simon Sinek. His start with why. His start with the why concept has become one of the most influential leadership frameworks of the entire 21st century. And here's why it matters for the trust economy. Your why is the mission statement of your trust account. It's the reason people open an account with you. Without a compelling why, reliability becomes routine. Integrity, every deadline because they're terrified of getting fired, is reliable. But they're not inspiring trust. They're demonstrating fear. A manager who hits every deadline because they genuinely believe their team's work matters, because they are driven by the idea that people achieve more when united by a shared purpose. Individual talent is necessary, but it's insufficient. What transforms a group of talented individuals into an unstoppable team is a shared belief, a collective why that gives every small act of dependability its significance. Your why is the North Star of your trust economy. Without it, you're a reliable machine. With it, you're a leader worth following. I want to tell you about two leaders. Both managed teams of similar size. Both worked in the same organization, faced the same pressures, had access to the same resources. Their trajectories could not have been more different. We'll call the first leader the clock, not because she was mechanical or cold, quite the opposite. She earned the nickname because you could set your watch by her. When she said a report would be ready by Friday, it was ready by Thursday. When she committed to a meeting time, she was there 5 minutes or late night motivational emails. Her meetings were efficient. She didn't have a catchphrase or a corner office full of awards. But here's what she did have: the complete, unshakable trust of every person on her team, every client on her roster, every peer in the organization. When the clock said something would happen, people didn't hope it would happen. They knew it would happen. That certainty is worth more than charisma, more it's worth more than balance, it's worth more than brilliance, and infinitely more than a good motivation. Because working with her meant one less thing to worry about. Small, consistent habits compounded over time. The second leader, will call him the poet. And the poet was gifted, talented, creative, articulate, and capable of crafting the most beautifully worded apology email you have ever read. He had plenty of practice because the poet missed nearly everything. Deadlines sailed past, meetings start times were treated as a suggestion. Client commitments were made and broken with eloquence. But the apology emails were masterpieces, thoughtful, empathetic, full of soaring rhetoric promising it would never, ever happen again. Until it did, which was usually the following Tuesday. Here's the uncomfortable truth about the poet: he wasn't a bad person. He was genuinely likable, honest about his failures, competent when he eventually delivered, but he was missing the big one: reliability. And without reliability, his trust account was perpetually overdrawn. His team padded timelines by weeks. His clients called his boss for straight answers. His colleagues planned around his commitments instead of depending on them. Zig Ziglar might have said it this way: people don't care about how much or how eloquently you apologize until they know how much you deliver. The contrast between the clock and the poet is not a story about talent versus mediocrity. Both were talented. It's not good versus evil. Both were good people. It's about the fundamental mechanics of the trust economy. Deposits are made in actions, not in words. John Maxwell's law of solid ground said it plainly. Trust is the foundation of leadership. Without it, nothing else works. It doesn't matter how visionary your strategy is, how innovative your product is, or how inspiring your keynote speech was. If people don't trust you to follow through, none of it translates into sustained influence. Churchill didn't win Britain's trust because he gave great speeches. He won it because the speeches were backed by action, night after night, bomb after bomb. He showed up. He was where he said he would be, doing what he said he would do. The words mattered because the man behind them, he was very dependable. Trust is not what you say, it's what you do repeatedly. So here's your challenge this week. Just one thing. Pick one commitment, one promise, one deadline, one meeting. James Clear would call this identity-based habit formation. I call it becoming the clock. If this video hit home for you, drop a comment below. Tell me, are you more the clock or the poet? Be honest, your growth starts. And hit that notification bell so you will never miss a leadership principle. I'm grateful you're here. Go make a deposit. See you next week. God bless you.